Hello and welcome back to a new session of Cell, the Unit of Life. In the previous session, we came across what exactly is the cell. Then later on, the persons who discovered cell, nucleus, and the person who observed the first living cell. And later on, and the cell theory, which was mainly proposed by Shieldin and Skewen, along with one more person called as Rudolf Virchow. And later on, we came across an overview of the cell. And in the overview of the cell, we came across the prokaryotic cell, where it is a non-membrane bond nucleus is present, and eukaryotic cell, where the nucleus is covered with the help of a membrane, where we call it as nuclear membrane. Then along with that, we discussed regarding the various parts and difference of a prokaryotic as well as a eukaryotic cell. So how we can differentiate. And in this chapter regarding the part of the eukaryotic cell, we are going to discuss only two different types of cells. One is a plant cell and animal cell. So before that, we have an example of a prokaryotic cell, a bacterial cell. So we'll look at the diagram of that bacteria, and later on we discuss regarding the part of this bacteria. Now, regarding the part of an overview of the cell, we came across various content of the cell. Now, along with that content, we have one more additional content also. In the prokaryotes, they have non-membrane bond cell organelle, which is called as ribosomes. Similarly, ribosomes are also present in eukaryotic cells. While in the bacterial cell, in the prokaryotic cell, they do not possess any other cell organelle like mitochondria, chloroplast, Golgi complexes. So all these things. So they are not at all present in the prokaryotic cell. That means these are exceptionally present only in the eukaryotic cell. Okay. Then as far as the plant cell and animal cell is concerned, in the plant cell they have one more cell organelle where we call it as chloroplast, while chloroplast is not present in the animal cell. So plant cell has chloroplast. Then what is the special cell organelle that is present in the animal cell? So here we come across a structure called as centrioles, which are present only in the animal cell and it is not present in the plant cell. So we'll have a character. Look at this character of the cell. Especially what we say is regarding the part of the cell organelle. So what we say is animal cells contain centriole, which help in cell division. So that helps in cell division. While these centrioles are absent in plant cell. Plant cell ಒಳಗಡೆ centrioles ಅಂತ ಇರಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. Okay, so plant cell ಒಳಗಡೆ ಇರುವಂತ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು microfibrils ಅಂತ ಇರ್ತಾವೆ that will help in the cell division. While centriole is the main characteristic of what? Animal cell. So this animal cell, it contains what? Centrioles, which is also a cell organelle along with mitochondria, Golgi complex, endoplasmic reticulum. ಅದರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಇರುವಂತದ ಅಡಿಷನಲ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಅನಿಮಲ್ ಸೆಲ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಇರುವಂತದ ಸೆಂಟ್ರಿಯೋಲ್. ನೆನಪಿರಲಿ, ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ನೇಮ್ ದ cell organelle that is present only in which cell? Animal cell. ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದಾಗ you have to write it as centriole, right? Okay, so with this, let's move on to the later or next character of this. Cell also differs in terms of its size, in terms of its activities also. So based on that, we have different types of cells. Okay, so let us look at those parts also. So what we say is cell differs in size. Cell differs in size, shape and activities. means what exactly their function. So how they perform their function. ಅದರ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಮೇಲೆ ನಾವು ಅದರ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಏನು ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾವ, ಏನು ಪ್ರೋಸೆಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾವ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಡಿಸ್ಕಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಸೆಲ್ ಡಿಫರ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಸೈಜ್, ಶೇಪ್ ಆಸ್ ವೆಲ್ ಆಸ್ ದ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟೀಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ. ಸೊ ಹಿಯರ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಸಮ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಸ್. We have the smallest cell, we have the largest cell, and we have the longest cell. Look at these parts. So here we have all these different types of cells. We have smallest cells, we have largest cell, and the longest cell. Yav riti adava nodri. Now let's look at this part. Now let us take them as in numbers. So one by one. So the first one is the smallest cell. So Microplasma is a wall-less prokaryote. ಇದು wall-less cell wall ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಇರುವಂತ ಒಂದು prokaryote. Okay, so which belongs to the class bacteria. Now this Microplasma, it is the smallest cell. So they are the smallest cell and measures about 0.3 micrometer. So look at this part. So they measure around 0.3 micrometer in their length. Now this will be asked for an objective again. Which is the smallest cell? The smallest cell is Microplasma. What is the size of the Microplasma? The size of the Microplasma is 0.3 micrometer in its diameter. That means it has to be observed under the microscope only. You cannot see it with your naked eyes. So this is regarding the Microplasma. Idu smallest anta karite. In largest cell, second one, the largest cell is the cell of an ostrich, especially the egg cell. Egg antandra idu unicellular nenepirli. Yakandre egg contains haploid number of chromosomes. So one cell egg is one cell, and that egg is the largest cell, single cell. So here, as we are talking about the cells, now one cell ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಮಾತಾಡಕತ್ತೀವಿ. We have not taken all the cells together in groups. So we are talking about only one cell. Now here the second point of what we take is the largest cell. So Microplasma, they are the smallest cell, and the largest cell that we are going to take is of an ostrich. So Ostrich XL, it is the largest cell. It's the largest cell which measures around 17.5 centimeter in its length and 15 centimeter in its width. So length wise 17.5 centimeter antala, width wise okay, ಇದು ಲೆಂತ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ, ಇದು ವಿಡ್ತ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಲೆಂತ್ ವೈಸ್ 17.5 centimeter. ಇದು ಒಂದು egg ಇದೆ. Okay, so egg is a single cell. It is the largest. So egg, ostrich egg cell is the largest cell which measures around 17.5 centimeter in its length and 15 centimeter in its breadth or in its width. Then third one is the longest cell. Hangidra longest single cell yavudu? The longest single cell is a cell of nerve, or we also call it as a neuron. Neuronal cells are the longest cells in our body. Okay, so the longest cell is neuronal cells. Okay, so these neuronal cells we also call them as nerve cells. Okay, nerve cells antanu kareeತೀವಿ ನಾವು. Nerve cells are longest. So they are longest cells. ಹಂಗಿದ್ರೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಸೆಂಟಿಮೀಟರ್ ಮೆಜರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಅರೌಂಡ್ 90 ಸೆಂಟಿಮೀಟರ್ in its length, right? So this and these are not given in your NCERT. ನಿಮ್ಮ NCERT ಒಳಗಡೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ, ಇವತ್ರ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಸ್ ಕೇಳಂಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಅವರ ಲೆಂತ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಬಟ್ ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್, ಲಾಂಗೆಸ್ಟ್ ಸೆಲ್ ಅಂತ ಬಂದು ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಲಾಂಗೆಸ್ಟ್ ಸೆಲ್ ಈಸ್ ನರ್ವ್ ಸೆಲ್. ಲಾರ್ಜೆಸ್ಟ್ ಸೆಲ್ egg cell of ostrich. Then smallest Microplasma. Okay. Then along with that, we have the size of the bacterial cell also, where the bacterial cell, it measures around 3 to 5 micrometer in its length or in its diameter, or else, or in other words, let's move to the next one. Let us look at the size of the human RBCs. The size of the human RBCs is around 7 micrometer in its diameter. So fourth one is bacterial cell measures. So here we have the bacterial cell. So this bacterial cell measures 3 to 5 micrometer. Okay, it's the size of bacteria. Then fifth one is human RBCs measures 7 micrometer in diameter. Look at this part. Here human RBCs measures around 7.0. That means 7 micrometer in its diameter. Now this is regarding the various sizes of the cell. Then apart from that, the shape of the cell, they might be also different. That means the shape of the cell greatly varies. Look at this. The shape of the cell also greatly varies in its size. Okay, now here we came across their size also, and here their cells also vary greatly in their shape also. Okay, so the shape of the cell greatly varies. How it might be? They may be so here they may be oval, polygonal, then cuboidal, columnar, then disc like. Look at this. The shape as it varies in different organisms or in different cells. So this might be the shape of the cell. So it might be disc-like, thread-like, or even irregular in its shape. Okay, shape of the cell change ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ಬೋದು. ಓವಲ್ ಶೇಪ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಎಗ್ ಶೇಪ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಪಾಲಿಗೋನಲ್ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಇರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ಶೇಪ್. ಓಕೆ, ಈ ರೀತಿ ಇರುವಂಥದ್ದು ಪಾಲಿಗೋನಲ್ ಶೇಪ್. ಅದು ಎಕ್ಸಾಕ್ಟ್ ಪೆನ್ಸಿಲ್ ರಿಂಗ್ ಅಂತಲೂ ಇರೋಂಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಪಾಲಿಗೋನಲ್ ಶೇಪ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಕ್ಯೂಬೋರ್ಡ್ ಕ್ಯೂಬ್ ಲೈಕ್, ಕಾಲಮ್ನರ್ ಟಾಲ್ ಪಿಲ್ಲರ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಥ್ರೋ ಏನು ಇರ್ತದಲ್ಲ ಆ ರೀತಿ ಇರುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಆರ್ ಯುವರ್ ಸಿ ಡಿ ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ ಆ ಶೇಪ್ನು ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಥ್ರೆಡ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಎಲಾಂಗೇಟೆಡ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಆಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಅವರ್ ನರ್ವ್ ಸೆಲ್ಸ್, ಆರ್ ಇವನ್ ಇರ್ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ಅಥವಾ ಇರ್ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ಶೇಪ್ಡ್ ಸೆಲ್ಸ್ನು ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ರಿಗಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ದ ಶೇಪ್ ಆಫ್ ದ cell. So with this, let's move on to the prokaryotic cell. Okay, so we'll move on to the heading where we call it as a prokaryotic cell. And the prokaryotic cell mainly includes bacteria. Along with the bacteria, we have Microplasma, then pneumonia-like organisms also, where they cause pneumonia also to the living organisms. So let's have an overlook over the prokaryotic cell. Okay, now as we say, prokaryotic cell means they are unicellular cells, and these prokaryotes have the nucleus, where the nucleus is not surrounded by the cell membrane. Okay, as a result, the genetic material or the DNA is present in the cytoplasm of these cells. Now regarding the part of these prokaryotic cells, what we say is they are mainly represented by certain organisms. Then which are the organisms that are included in the prokaryotes? So let's make a list of these organisms. So the prokaryotic cell is represented by, so they are represented by bacteria, blue-green algae, where we call it as a PGA, Microplasma, and PPLO. This PPLO is a pneumonia-like organisms. This is pneumonia-like organisms that causes pneumonia. This cause ಮಾಡುವಂತದ pneumonia. Pneumonia is a lung disorder, respiratory disorder ಅಂತ ಕರೀತೀವಿ. Okay. Now mainly it includes prokaryotic cell. It includes what? Bacteria, then BGA, blue-green algae, nostoc ಅಂತಲೂ ಕರೀತಾರೆ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ, which already you have studied in the chapter number 2. Microplasma, where we call it as a wall-less prokaryotic ಅಂತ ಕರೀತೀವಿ, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಸೆಲ್ ವಾಲ್ ಇದರೊಳಗಡೆ ಇರಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. Then PPLO is a pneumonia-like organisms. So all these are various different types of the prokaryotic organisms. Now next is they may vary greatly in shape and size. So they may vary greatly in their shape and size. So size and shape generally varies from one prokaryotic organism to the other prokaryotic organism. Now here, in case of this, what we have did is these prokaryotes have mainly 4 basic structures or shapes. So here we go with the 4 basic shapes. The 4 basic shapes of the prokaryotes. So what they are, or we also call them as bacteria. Bacteria are, so we have 4. Based on the shapes, bacteria or prokaryotes have been classified into 4 types. Idu chapter number 2 ಒಳಗಡೆ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮಾಡಿರಿ. ಅವು ಯಾವ್ಯಾವು? One is a rod shaped bacteria, other one is a spring shaped bacteria, one more is a comma shaped bacteria, then apart from this round shaped, or we call it as a spherical shaped bacteria. Avukku ನಾವು ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಹೆಸರು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿವಿ. So they might be coccus, they might be what, spirulum, then vibrio, then apart from this, what is the other one? So the spring-like organisms. Okay, where we also call it as a spring-like is spirulum and rod-like is bacillus. So first one, bacillus. So this bacillus, what is the shape? Shape is rod-like. Then second one, coccus, which already you know, spherical shaped. So this is rod-like. Coccus is spherical shape. So here it appears in this way. Here it appears in this way. Okay, so rod-like. Then next one is vibrio. This is comma-like, or we call it as a comma-shaped. Okay, so comma-shaped vibrio, or we can also draw it in the shape of this. Okay, so comma-shaped bacteria, they are called as a vibrio. Then spirillum. This is spring-like, which is the last one, or spiral shape. Okay, so these are the 4 different shapes of the bacteria, which already we have studied in chapter number 2. The same thing is repeated here. So with these, let's go to the diagram of a prokaryotic cell, a bacterial cell, and the next detailed explanation is based on this diagram only. Diagram based on iruvantadu. So that's why let's move on to the diagram of the bacteria, the prokaryotic cell. Now explanation is more based on the diagram. So do not forget the diagram, because when we go on explaining in terms of statements. Now statement wise explanation ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂತ ಹೋದಂಗ ನಿಮ್ಮ ತಲೆ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಆ ಡಯಾಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಇತ್ತಂತಂದ್ರೆ, if you remember that diagram, then you can write all the characters of the bacteria. So that's why the diagram of a bacteria is most important. So let's go to the diagram of the bacteria. Okay, now here, if we look at this structure, the bacteria is having an outer wall, where the outer wall is also called as the slimy layer. Then below this we have one more layer, where it is the cell wall. The second layer is the cell wall. Now this diagram is not particularly given in the NCERT, so better draw the diagram, because the explanation, entire explanation is given, and that entire explanation depends on this diagram only. So here we have the outer layer. So this outer layer we call it as the slime layer or capsule. Second one is cell wall. Then the third layer is the plasma membrane. Here we have the inner layer. This is the plasma membrane. This plasma membrane is present in prokaryotic cell as well as a eukaryotic cell. And here it has an infolding, where we call this infolding as a mesosomes. Here it has its genetic material. So here we have the genetic material. That genetic material may be DNA. Then along with that, here we have one circular structure. that circular structure is called as a plasmid. It is an extra chromosomal DNA. This is the genetic material of what? This is the genetic material of the bacteria. ಈ genetic material ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇದೊಂದು ಸರ್ಕ್ಯುಲರ್, ಓಕೆ, ಸರ್ಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಒಂದು ರಿಂಗ್ ಗಲ್ದೆ ಕಾಣಿಸುವಂತಹ ಡಬಲ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಇರ್ತದ. ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಮಿಡ್. ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಮಿಡ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ದೆನ್ along with that we have ribosomes. Many ribosomes might be attached here. Then with this we have certain inclusion bodies also. Then along with that this side we have a long flagella. Okay. A long flagella is also present. Then the bacteria also possesses certain hair-like structures where we call it as the fimbriae or pili. Which are smaller than that of the flagella. Okay, now if we label these, then what we have? Here we have, this is the outer layer, where we call it as a capsule. Then here we have cell wall. The third layer is plasma membrane. The third layer is plasma membrane. Then in the part of the flagella, there we just divide it into basal body, now this first one is a basal body, the second part is a hook, third part is filament. Now all these three together we call it as a flagella. That helps in movement. You ಮೂರು structures ಸೇರ್ಕೊಂಡ flagella ಅಂತ ಕರೀತೀವಿ. At the base is a basal body. Base ಆಗಿರೋದು basal body. Base ಇಂದ next part hook ಅಂತ ಕರೀತೀವಿ. Then a long thread-like structure filament. ಮೂರು ಸೇರ್ಕೊಂಡ flagella ಅಂತ ಕರೀತೀವಿ. Flagella consists of three parts: basal body, hook, and a long filament. Filament is very long, that helps in motility. Movement help ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. Then these outer parts we call this as a pili or fimbriae might be present. ಎರಡು ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಸಲ ಇರಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. Pili or fimbriae ಅಂತ ಕರೀತೀವಿ. Pili is a hair-like structure. Hair ಗಳಂತೆ thin ಇರುವಂತವು pili ಅಂತ ಕರೀತೀವಿ. Or suppose if the fimbriae are present, fimbriae are bristle-like. Bristle ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹಾರ್ಡ್, ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ಇರ್ತವೆ. Even elongated structures ಅದಾವಲ್ಲ, ಇವು hair-like and ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಲಾಂಗ್ ಇತ್ತಂದ್ರೆ pili ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. Then if it is short and a little bit hard, bristle-like ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಈಗ ನೀವು ಏನು ಬ್ರಷ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ, ಆ ಬ್ರಷ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಕೆಲವೊಂದ್ಸಲ ಹಾರ್ಡ್ನೆಸ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಆ ಹಾರ್ಡ್ನೆಸ್ ರೀತಿ ಇರುವಂಥದ್ದು ಬ್ರಿಸಲ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಇಫ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದೇರ್ ಶಾರ್ಟ್, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಫಿಂಬ್ರೆ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಪೈಲೈ ಆರ್ ಫಿಂಬ್ರೆ. ಓಕೆ, ದೆನ್ ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್? ಹಾಗಿದ್ರೆ ಇದರ ಉಪಯೋಗ ಏನು? ಇಟ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಟು ದ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಟಮ್. ಬರೀ ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ಮೆಂಟಿಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಒಂದು ಕಡೆ ನೀರು ಒಳಗಡೆ ಅದಾವ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಟಮ್ ಬೇಸ್ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಟೋನಿಗೆ ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಕ್ಕೆ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು. ಸಪೋಸ್ ಇಫ್ ದ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಟೀರಿಯಾ ಇಸ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಇನ್ ಅವರ್ ಬಾಡಿ, ನಮ್ಮ ಬಾಡಿ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಇತ್ತಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಟು ದ ಸೆಲ್. ನಮ್ಮ ಸೆಲ್ಗೆ ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡುವಂಥವ ಪೈಲೈ ಆರ್ ಫಿಂಬ್ರೆ. ದೇ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಇನ್ವಾಲ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ಲೋಕೋಮೋಷನ್. ಇವು ಮೂಮೆಂಟ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡೋಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಲೋಕೋಮೋಷನ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಯಾವುದು? ಫ್ಲಾಜೆಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಫ್ಲಾಜೆಲ್ಲ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಲೋಕೋಮೋಷನ್. ಪೈಲೈ ಆರ್ ಫಿಂಬ್ರೆ. ಪೈಲೈ is a hair-like long structure. Fimbre is a short and bristle-like, B-R-I-S-T-L-E, bristle-like structure which helps in attachment of the bacteria to the substratum or to the host. Substratum ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನೀರು ಒಳಗಿದಾಗ ಕಲ್ಲು ಇತ್ತಂದ್ರೆ ಕಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾವ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಟಮ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ನಮ್ಮ ಬಾಡಿ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಸೆಲ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಬಂದು ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾವ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಆನ್ ದ ಸೆಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತೀವಿ. ಓಕೆ, ದೆನ್ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಹಿಯರ್, ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಎ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್. ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಅ ಮೆಸೋಸೋಮ್. ಮೆಸೋಸೋಮ್ is the infolding of the plasma membrane. ಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಮಾ ಮೆಂಬ್ರೇನ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಫೋಲ್ಡ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತಂದ್ರೆ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಮೆಸೋಸೋಮ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಈ ಮೆಸೋಸೋಮ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ಸೆಲ್ ಡಿವಿಷನ್ ಟೈಮ್ನಾಗ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ವೇರ್ ಇಟ್ ಕಟ್ಸ್ ದ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಟೀರಿಯಾ ಇಂಟು 2 daughter cells ಡ್ಯೂರಿಂಗ್ ಬೈನರಿ ಫಿಷನ್. ಸೊ ಮೆಸೋಸೋಮ್ಸ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಸೆಲ್ ಡಿವಿಷನ್. ಅದ್ರ ಶೇಪ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತಾವೆ. ಕೆಲವೊಮ್ಮೆ ಟ್ಯೂಬ್ಯುಲರ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಕೆಲವೊಮ್ಮೆ ಥಿನ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಲ್ಯಾಮಿನಾರ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಆ ರೀತಿ ಶೇಪ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ಮೆಸೋಸೋಮ್ ಈಸ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಬಟ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ದ ಇನ್ಫೋಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಮಾ ಮೆಂಬ್ರೇನ್. ದೆನ್ ಅಲಾಂಗ್ ವಿತ್ ದಟ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಒನ್ ಮೋರ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್. This is called as a plasmid. So that rounded structure is called as a plasmid. This plasmid is an extra chromosomal DNA. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಟೀರಿಯಲ್ DNA ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ DNA ಅಂತ ಇರ್ತದೆ. Extra chromosomal DNA present in what? The prokaryotic cell or the bacterial cell. ಅದಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಮಿಡ್ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಡಿಫೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಮಿಡ್ ಈಸ್ ಅ ರೌಂಡ್ ಅಥವಾ ಸರ್ಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ರೌಂಡ್ ಆರ್ ಸರ್ಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಡಬಲ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಂಡೆಡ್ extra chromosomal DNA present in prokaryotic cell. Then what is the use of plasmid? Plasmid then you can use it. Plasmid has antibiotic resistant genes which helps the bacteria from being killed by the antibiotics like ampicillin and tetracycline. ಈಗ ಪೆನ್ಸಿಲಿನ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥ ಇಂಜೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಏನದ ಅದು ಆಂಟಿಬಯೋಟಿಕ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಹಂಗ ಟೆಟ್ರಾಸೈಕ್ಲಿನ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಒಂದು ಆಂಟಿಬಯೋಟಿಕ್ ಅದ, ಡಿಸೀಸ್ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ದೆನ್ ಆಂಫಿಸಿಲಿನ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಒಂದು ಆಂಟಿಬಯೋಟಿಕ್ ಅದ. ಆ ಆಂಫಿಸಿಲಿನ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥ ಆಂಟಿಬಯೋಟಿಕ್ ಈ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಟೀರಿಯಾ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಹಾಕಿದಾಗ ದಿಸ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಟೀರಿಯಾ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಕಿಲ್ಡ್. ವೈ? ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಪೊಸೆಸಸ್ ಎ ಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಮಿಡ್ ಅಂಡ್ ದಟ್ ಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಮಿಡ್ ಕನ್ಸಿಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ antibiotic resistance genes. ಓಕೆ, ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಡಿಟೇಲ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಇಯರ್ ಬಯೋಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಕಲಿತೀರಿ, ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಮಿಡ್ ಐತಂತ ಬಯೋಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ ಅನ್ನೋಂಥ ಫೀಲ್ಡ್ ಬಂದದ. ಅಗೇನ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಡಿಫರೆಂಟ್ ಸ್ಟೋರಿ ವೇರ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಇನ್ ದ ಲೇಟರ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ಸ್. ದೆನ್ ಅಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಟ್ ದಿಸ್ ಒನ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ನ್ಯೂಕ್ಲಿಯಾಯ್ಡ್. So genetic material is present in the form of the nucleoid. Then apart from that we have ribosomes. These are ribosomes and these are inclusion bodies. So here it represents cytoplasmic inclusions. And this is the cytoplasm of the cell. This is the cytoplasm of the cell. So these are regarding the labelings of a prokaryotic cell. ಒಂದು prokaryotic cell ಅಂತ ಬಂದಾಗ ಈ ರೀತಿ ನಮಗೆ labelings ಬರ್ತವೆ. The rest of the discussion is entirely based on this diagram. ಈ diagram ನೋಡಿ ನಾವು ಬರಿತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ. The rest of the characters. And in those rest of the characters, we come across certain structures. ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ಬೇರೆ structures ಗೂ ಬರ್ತೀವಿ. And what we have to write, I am not writing it on the board, I am just leaving you for your assignment. Okay, ನಾನು ನಿಮಗೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತೀನಿ, ಅದು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಅಸೈನ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಬಿಡಾಕತ್ತೀನಿ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಒಂದು ಹೆಡಿಂಗ್ ನಾವು ಬರ್ತೀವಿ, ಸೆಲ್ ಎನ್ವಿಲೋಪ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತನ್ನುವಂಥದ. ನಾವು ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲನೇಷನ್ ಫಾರ್ ದಿಸ್, ಹಂಗಿದ್ರೆ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲನೇಷನ್ ಏನದ ಅಂತನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಐ ಆಮ್ ಗಿವಿಂಗ್ ಯು ದ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲನೇಷನ್. ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಮೇಕ್ ದಮ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ದ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್. Okay, now look at this. When we look at the bacterial cell, prokaryotic cell is bacterial cell. Here we have taken an example of a bacterium. Bacterium singular, bacteria plural. Now ಇಲ್ಲಿ bacterias ಅಂತ ಟರ್ಮ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಂಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ರಾಂಗ್. ಅದು ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಟೀರಿಯಂ ಸಿಂಗ್ಯುಲರು, ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಟೀರಿಯಾ ಪ್ಲೂರಲ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ ಆಗಿ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಓಕೆ, ನಾವು ಲೆಟ್ ಅಸ್ ಲುಕ್ ಅಟ್ ದಿಸ್ ಡಯಾಗ್ರಾಮ್. ಹಂಗಿದ್ರೆ ಡಯಾಗ್ರಾಮ್ ನೋಡಿ. The outer part is called as what? Capsule. So let us label it as 1 and 3. So capsule, first one, outer part is a capsule. It might be slimy ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಜೆಲ್ ಗಲ್ದೆ ಇರಬಹುದು ಅಥವಾ ಹಾರ್ಡ್ ಸರ್ಫೇಸ್ ಇರಬಹುದು. Where we call it as a what? Capsule. Then second layer is a cell wall. Cell wall ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಅದ. Third one is a plasma membrane. The infolding of the plasma membrane forms a mesosome. The infolding of the plasma membrane forms a mesosome. That mesosome helps in cell division. And the shape of the mesosome might be different. It might be tubular. Tube ante irbodu. It might be tubular, or it might be what? Laminar, hair-like structure irbodu. Then inside this it has the genetic material, where we call it as a nucleoid. Nucleoid contains DNA. This DNA is present naked in the cytoplasm. This is the cytoplasm of the cell. ಇದರ ಮೇಲೆ ನ್ಯೂಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಮೆಂಬ್ರೇನ್ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಇರೋಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಇದು ಪ್ರೊಕ್ಯಾರಿಯೋಟಿಕ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಯೂಕ್ಯಾರಿಯೋಟಿಕ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಹಂಗಿದ್ರೆ ಈ ಆರ್ಗನಿಸಮ್ ಯೂಕ್ಯಾರಿಯೋಟಿಕ್ ಆಗಿ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು ಏನ್ರಿ? ವಿ ಡೋಂಟ್ ನೋ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಇನ್ ದ ನೇಚರ್. ಇದು ನೇಚರ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಇರುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಅದು ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಹೆಂಗೈತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ನಾವು ನಿಮಗೆ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲನೇಷನ್ ಕೊಡಾಕತ್ತೀವಿ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನೇಚರ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಏನು ಬೇಕಾದ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ we are not controlling nature, but nature is controlling us. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಬಾಡಿ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಜೀನ್ಸ್ ವೈಸ್ ಮ್ಯೂಟೇಷನ್ ಹಾಕೊಂಡು ಮುಂದೆ ನಾವು ಏನಾಗಿ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಿಡಿಕ್ಷನ್ ಅದ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪರ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರಕಾರ, ವಿ ಆರ್ ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್ ಬೀಯಿಂಗ್ಸ್. ನಮ್ಮ ಬಾಡಿ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಏನಾದರೂ ಜೀನ್ ಮ್ಯೂಟೇಷನ್ ಹಾಕೊಂತ ಹೋಯ್ತು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ವಿ ಮೇ ಗೆಟ್ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟೆಡ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ಸೂಪರ್ ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್ ಬೀಯಿಂಗ್ಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ವೇಟ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ವಾಚ್. ದಟ್ಸ್ ದ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಎವಲ್ಯೂಷನ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಒನ್, ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ರೈಬೋಸೋಮ್ಸ್. ಇಲ್ಲಿರುವಂಥವು ರೈಬೋಸೋಮ್ಸ್. ರೈಬೋಸೋಮ್ ಇದು ಒಂದು ಸೆಲ್ ಆರ್ಗನಲ್ಲೇ, ವೇರ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಇನ್ ಪ್ರೊಕ್ಯಾರಿಯೋಟ್ಸ್ ಆಸ್ ವೆಲ್ ಆಸ್ ಯೂಕ್ಯಾರಿಯೋಟ್ಸ್. ದೆನ್ ರೈಬೋಸೋಮ್ ಸಿಂಗಲ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು. ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತಂದ್ರೆ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಪಾಲಿರೈಬೋಸೋಮ್ಸ್ ಅಂತಲೂ ಕರಿತೀವಿ ಅಥವಾ ಪಾಲಿಸೋಮ್ಸ್. ದ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಆಫ್ ರೈಬೋಸೋಮ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಮೈಟ್ ಬಿ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಅ ಪಾಲಿಸೋಮ್ಸ್. ಪಾಲಿಸೋಮ್ಸ್ ಅಂತಲೂ ಕರಿಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಪಾಲಿರೈಬೋಸೋಮ್ಸ್ ಅಂತಲೂ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಓಕೆ, ದೆನ್ ಅಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್? ಸೈಟೋಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಮಿಕ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ಲೂಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಫುಡ್ ವ್ಯಾಕ್ಯೂಲೂ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಫುಡ್ ಗ್ರ್ಯಾನ್ಯುಲರ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ಸು ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ದೆನ್ plasmid is there, where we call it as an extra chromosomal DNA present in the bacterial cell, and that plasmid has an antibiotic resistant gene which protects the bacteria from antibiotics, from being killed. Then on the outer side attached to the cell wall we have certain hair-like structures or finger-like structures, where we call them as pili or fimbriae. Pili are long thread-like structures, fimbriae are short bristle-like structure that helps in attachment. It helps in attachment to the substratum or to the host cells. Okay. Then this bacteria, it has also a flagella which is made up of 3 parts. First one is the basal body which is present at the base. Second part is a hook. Third part is a long filament. and this flagella, it helps in motility. This helps in movement of the bacterial cell. So this is regarding the part of what the prokaryotic cell, the bacterial cell, and the rest part of this will continue in the upcoming sessions. So till then, focus on the prokaryotic cell, and later on we are going to describe regarding its cell envelope and modifications, and finally two bigger cells, plant cell and animal cell. So till then, stay tuned. Thank you.